Here's our wish for summer in the middle of winter, a flower arrangement that is always blooming. Allisen Mathis is the flower artist here. Welcome to Studio 5.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for being here. We are just falling all over ourselves. These creations are amazing. Tell me exactly what you do.
Well, it's a blast and it's a lot of work and it takes a lot of time.
I imagine.
It's so much fun. So I started working with felt a few years ago for Halloween costumes and just different things, and I got into this whole thing trying to make things for my own home that I just couldn't find anything I loved. And it's so fun to have fresh flowers, but they're expensive sometimes, and you know, they obviously don't last forever.
They leave us way too soon.
Right. So these are so fun because I've made gifts, I've made bridal bouquets, I've made replicas of people's bouquets.
Hold on, you've made bridal bouquets out of felt?
Yeah. And
you know what?
It's so fun.
Prior to have met you today, I would have thought, what? But now seeing the detail and just how sophisticated you're making these felt flowers out to be, it really is incredible.
Well, it's really fun because, you know, it just comes down to like kind of this breakdown of the basic shapes of the petals.
So what shapes are you reaching for then?
Well, so I've spent hours studying fresh flowers, pictures of fresh flowers, and I have Googled like poppy petals. I mean, like, why would that be on the internet?
That's happy homework. That is happy homework.
Yeah, so I have looked up, you know, these shapes and tried to figure out how to make my hands make that shape. And so that's kind of what I wanted to share today, is that you can figure out what works for you. And I had followed some little tutorials and stuff for like making succulents and things. And every time I tried to follow somebody else's method, it was a fail. Every time. Like, I threw stuff away because it was so bad.
You're like, this succulent belongs in the garbage.
That's exactly right. And so I just figured out my own way and figured out what worked for me, and it's so much fun. And people will ask me to make flowers I've never made before, and it's so fun to figure out what works, you know. And people ask me for weird colors that I think, I don't know how to make that work, but you can make just about anything work.
It sounds like it becomes a creative adventure for you. And somehow, this is what amazes me, I think, the most. The detail, probably number one. Number two, you've managed to capture movement of flowers. And that might sound silly, but these blooms are kind of moving. I mean, they almost appear as if they have that life and that shape.
Yeah, I want to show you some tricks to do that.
I want to see.
Basically, with felt, with this kind of felt, this is not like Joann's felt that you sometimes see for, like I referenced Halloween costumes, but sometimes it can be either thin or too thick or kind of see-through. This is really good quality felt. You can get it locally or online.
Okay.
It's called wool felt.
Wool felt.
And it's, like I said, nice and thick, and you can kind of feel that what that material feels like. It's thick, and it also, I mean, you can kind of stretch it.
It pulls a little give.
Yeah, so there's some good tricks with that. Like I've, you know, put a little pencil in there and kind of tugged on the shapes.
There's that
and things
curvature
like that.
I was talking about,
And it comes folded up, and I've actually worked with the folds too to use that to like create, you know, some of these shapes where the petal is curved.
So you don't necessarily iron or smooth it out.
No, in fact, that can be really helpful to have that shape. So basically, if you have some sharp scissors and a glue gun, you can make flowers.
And brave fingers, right? To get in on those petal details. Can you show us one?
That's right, you bet. So basically, and there are tons, I mean, that I could be here all day showing you every different shape.
Well, yeah, once you have the shape, it's almost like a build-a-flower, right? You can piece together your own bloom.
Absolutely, but I'm just going to show you one that's kind of a basic one. That's a good starting place. It has some good touches and details, but it's not too difficult.
Is there one here on the table we can look at, a finished example?
Yeah, similar, actually. I'm not going to do exactly the same, but I'm going to do one that's kind of this purple color.
This is my favorite one. I'm not even just saying that.
Yeah, we're going to do just a little bit of a simplified center, but you get the idea of how to create that if you wanted to create it at home.
Okay.
Okay, so this is what the center looks like, and I've just taken and cut a strip of felt, and that's kind of the key with this whole thing, is cutting these strips of felt. You can use a rotary cutter, or I just use scissors, and cut like graduating bigger sizes. So that's what you've got here, like with the ranunculus, you can see there's the smaller, middle, biggest, and I just do that by cutting the strips, and then I work within the confines of what the strip shows to get my sizing right. That streamlines the whole process. But for this one, I just cut this little strip, and you can cut this as wide or narrow as you want, depending on how big the flower is going to be. This is kind of your basis, and I'm going to let you just kind of take a little snip at this, and you just snip down the line.
We're fringing it up a little bit. I imagine, though, if you go too big, it starts to look fake and kind of loses its charm, right?
Yeah, so the finer the details are, the more realistic and the more interesting, and they just kind of pop out more, and, you know, are more fun to look at. They are fun as gifts because, like I said, they last forever.
Oh, what a great gift, or a gift topper even, just to make a stash of these for your party stash.
Yeah, I mean, you can get as ambitious or not as you want.
I need to go way skinnier. Sorry, you went
you're good.
thin, and I kind of went thicker.
If that's how you like it, Brooke, that's how it ought to be.
Don't give me that kind of latitude and permission. Who knows what will happen? Okay.
Well, that's what's fun, is this is so forgiving, and you can, I mean, it doesn't matter if it gets a little wrinkled or whatever, you know, it just is really a flexible material. So I'm just going to do a little bead of glue along here, and you have to be careful because hot glue is so wonderful and so dangerous. I have scars.
We had a crafter a couple weeks ago. Our dear friend Michelle Inkley was joking. If I were to be booked into prison, I would have no fingerprints at this point, right?
That's absolutely true.
It's the badge. It's the mark of a good crafter.
That's right. So I am just twisting it up, and you can see where we haven't snipped this bottom part. That is where the glue goes. And so you just keep that fringe kind of popping up.
I'm loving it already.
And again, you can do this, you can cut this strip as long or as short as you want.
It's like a little bunch of McDonald's French fries right there.
It does look like that, doesn't it? So basically, that gives you your center, and then we're gonna add some petals.
Okay.
And so that, I mean, that's a quick version, but that kind of gives you an idea for that texture.
And the petals you're just building from the outside in?
Yeah, and so again, I use that same method where I cut, you know, kind of smaller strips for these ones that are going to go closest, and then slightly bigger ones as you go out.
Yeah, the dimension. I imagine as you start to study flowers, you become really attuned to those dimensional details.
Yeah, it's so fun, but it's a lot of pressure when somebody's trusting you with like a wedding bouquet or something like that. You want to get it just right, you know?
I imagine. And recreating, you said, wedding bouquets too?
Yeah.
How fun is that?
It's so great for anniversaries. I do it at Valentine's Day a lot. People, you know, think of that as a neat gift.
Where can we see more of your work and more of your examples?
So on Etsy is a great place to find it. And as I'm going around here, I'm just pinching these petals to kind of give that little dimension.
Okay.
And you just go around like that. And then the last step to making this into a flower that you could stick into a little wooden box or wherever you want, I just cut a little slit. I cut around this edge with these pinking shears that have this, you know, kind of different edge.
To give it the jagged edge.
So it just kind of looks finished, you know, without having to work too hard at it. Stick that stem through there, and then you can just pop your flower on.
There it is. So, we're just smitten with this idea of a box of blooms in the dead of winter. Don't we all need that for our kitchen table or for our bedroom nightstand? And you mentioned your Etsy shop. What's the name of that store?
It's called Golden Afternoon Made.etsy.com.
Golden Afternoon, after the song
on
Allisen
Instagram
Wonderland,
too.
right?
That's right. Yeah, when I was a little girl, I thought it was Allisen Wonderland.
Of course.
So
of course. After you.
After her,
I played the rose in Allisen Wonderland when I was in 3rd grade. Wore it on my head, green tights, green Hanes t-shirt. It was a sight to see. So between you and me, we can share that title,
I'd like to see a picture of that.
You're fabulously talented. So thank you so much for stopping by. We'll link you over to our Etsy shop on our website, studio5.ksl.com.